what we've seen is things that we feel are pretty questionable.
This is very important stuff. This is public safety.
We don't think that's right on behalf of the taxpayers.
It's a city of Albuquerque expense so obscure, only a handful of people know about it, yet it's costing taxpayers millions of dollars. It involves the state's largest utility. A News 13 investigation finds PNM is accused of gouging taxpayers with inflated bills and excessive charges. Rob Perry is Albuquerque's chief administrative officer.
In no uncertain terms, we let PNM know that we thought that a lot of these charges were questionable and we needed to change things going forward because we weren't going to be paying them.
What's this all about? Well, streetlights. You see, whenever an Albuquerque streetlight is damaged, PNM does the repair and then bills the city. For example, when a motorist crashed into a light pole on 12th Street, PNM repaired the damage, then invoiced the city $4,400. When thieves stole the copper wiring from a pole on Coors, PNM's repair bill was $20,000. Streetlights are damaged more often than you think. Since 2012, PNM has billed the city more than $3.8 million to repair 718 city-owned streetlights. But take a close look at PNM's invoices. Hidden among the nuts and bolts, insulators, and cables are some unusual extras. For example, PNM routinely has taxpayers pick up the tab for PNM's employee benefits, things like payroll taxes, pensions, workers' comp, vacations, even employee meals. These extra charges often add hundreds of dollars to each repair bill.
Those indirect types of charges that looks pretty questionable and in certain cases unsupported, are probably improper and not in the best interest of PNM and certainly the city taxpayers of Albuquerque.
And it's not just fringe benefits. PNM also hits up the city for unexplained overtime pay, even though streetlights are rarely repaired during off hours. For example, in 2014, thieves stole the copper wire from this streetlight on Jefferson. PNM repaired the damage 3 months later and then billed the city more than $2,000 in overtime. Peter Ennin heads up Albuquerque's risk management.
If it's a non-emergency situation, should the city be paying PNM time and a half for its employees to do the repair?
I don't think so.
Has PNM provided explanation on their overtime charges?
No, they haven't.
Most of the bills do contain overtime charges, though.
Yes.
PNM also invoices the city for something called A and G.
But we don't get any explanation of how they calculate that charge, why it is what it is. We just get the expense on the invoice.
What do you think that actual charge is for?
Overhead would be my guess.
Is that a legitimate charge in your opinion?
It could be, and if it is, we're willing to pay it, but we don't get any explanation for it. It's just there.
And then there's the charge for temp services.
What are outside temp services?
We think that that's paying temporary clerical people to prepare the bills. It just doesn't seem right. And it is a part of their cost, but I don't know that we have to pay extra just to have our bills put together.
It's not just the money. This streetlight isn't working because thieves stole all the copper wire. Since 2012, copper thieves have ripped out the valuable metal from 248 streetlights across the city. The repair bills top $2 million. However, copper thieves are rarely caught. They operate in the dead of night, and PNM does not bother notifying the police that a crime has occurred.
If there's been a copper theft, for example, from city property, will you know about it right away?
No, and that's a problem because we may not find out about it for 6 or 8 months until we get the bill from PNM. They just go do the repairs and send us a bill. APD may never get a report on a copper theft. And that's a major problem for APD.
There's all kinds of problems with delayed reporting, the biggest of which is we simply don't know that the crime is occurring. Therefore, it's very difficult to stop something that you don't know is happening.
Commander Paul Zeich oversees APD's copper theft investigations.
It makes it very challenging to make an apprehension and therefore stop the problem. So for us, it's a real big deal.
City administrators say PNM has shown no interest in justifying its billing practices.
We've had questions about the billing for many years and couldn't resolve them. We decided that we were just going to refuse to pay for things that we questioned. And so in February, we've told them what we were going to do, not going to pay these bills anymore with these itemized charges on them that we questioned, and we stopped.
So what does PNM have to say? Well, the utility declined our request for an interview. However, in a written statement, PNM said it bills the city only actual costs for streetlight repairs and does not mark up those costs for a profit. PNM defends its practice of billing the city for employee benefits by calling it, quote, completely appropriate.
Has PNM responded to the February letter?
No, they haven't.
Has PNM changed its billing practices?
Yes, they stopped itemizing their bills.
Has PNM stopped charging the city for administrative and benefits?
We don't know. The bills are no longer itemized, so those things are not listed anymore.
We're at a point now where it's time to fix the problem and to ensure that the invoices and the charges that are included therein are fully supportable, that they're done timely, and that they're done in a prudent and justifiable way on behalf of the taxpayers.
Has that been happening?
I think there's been some questions that it hasn't.
Larry Barker, KRQE, News 13.